Alright. Let's start looking at the stocks tonight. So, GME, obviously, making moves again here. Pushing up towards 156, which is the highest it's been in quite a while. So, if we look back, so we check out these charts. See if we can get on the 5-minute here. We cannot go that back that far in the 5. Look on the daily chart. Let's remove some of these lines. Trading way above these lines. Yeah, so the last time we were up past 156 was February 25th, so 2 weeks ago. And that day it ran from 100 all the way up to 200 in the aftermarket. So got the potential for it to do that again today. So we're gonna keep an eye on it, definitely. I have a position open in my other account, but only for like 20 shares. So looks like it's having some trouble pushing over 156. So we'll see how it shakes out. Give it a second to doing this though. Update some of these other stocks that we're looking at. OPGN just popped up. Years popped up. But not really too much volume on either of those, and it's not really moved up too much on either of them. So we'll see if GME can break above 156 here. Look on the level 2. Not getting anything at 156 at the moment, but kind of just holding 155. 156, not a ton sitting on the level 2, yeah, so makes sense that we'd break that pretty easily there. So we'll see if we get increased volume on this 1-minute candle, pushing up. Watching this, OPGN is popping up a bit more. So, look on the other chart here. We're going to watch how GME holds above 156. Talked about it a little bit last week, but it seems like when GME starts pushing and that volume starts coming in, it's very, very easy to tell. It's actually trading really nice this morning. Significantly nicer than we've seen it on other days. Not a ton of false breakouts, making pretty easy to read moves here. The 5-minute looks really nice. The 5 minutes, so we got a minute and a half left on this 5-minute candle. I think if I'm going to take trades on this today, I'll probably take pretty fast trades on it. So get in with a position, get out fairly quickly. Because I am holding like a smaller position in my other account. So I am getting a piece of this move a little bit like passively. It's looking really nice here. 30 seconds till this next 5-minute. As long as this 5-minute holds above 156, looking really good. See if we get a little pullback in the next 5-minute. And then we'll try to buy in. $15 seconds on this 1-minute candle. So we're going to get a little false break on the 1 minute, which is fine. Did not hold above. Holding above 156 here as well. So we did just barely hold above 156, but we had a bunch of selling coming off 158. So I'm gonna wait for a second on this 5 minute. see how the stock's feeling. Thinking we might see a little bit of a pullback on the 5 minute just from the selling that came off 158 there. But I mean, as long as we're holding above VWAP here, we're still fine. Dipped down pretty far. Might have been a place to take a dip trade on that. I didn't end up buying any shares there as it dipped. We'll see what happens. On the 1 minute, above 156.33 is looking good, so it's still got quite a ways to go if we want to push up there. OPGN still pushing up as well. Currently just watching that. I think EYES looks like it's ready to make a move here too. Jump above 850. I wish I wasn't watching it. The break over $8 for this last 5 minute candle on EYES. Looking at the charts here, was the place to buy. I wasn't watching it. I was focusing on GME, so did not get in on that. If it continues moving, then we'll try to jump in at the next good time to buy. But that's EYES probably the one that we're gonna watch, other than GME this morning, at least for the time being. If other things pop up on news, start coming up, then we'll take a trade on that. Now, looking at 155.45 on the 1 minute. This 5 minute still has 3 minutes left on it. See how the 5 minute ends up faring. I think if this 5 minute closed red, it's probably a good thing. It's really nice to see the sell-off happen and then get bought up. So I think everything's looking real good on GameStop right now. Jump above 156.
Yo, what's up?
What's going on?
Catching that GameStop move this morning?
Not really. I have like 15 shares sitting at like 150, so I'm up like $6 on that. So about $100 up on Lightspeed. I think it's actually 151, so I'm like $5 up right now.
What's GameStop at right now?
156.
Whew, nice.
It's looking really good this morning.
Is this the week, Cody?
This might be the week. Down, dude. Down for this thing to go off.
I mean, it's like the slow burn, because like last time I had that slow burn up to like 25, 30, and then it like
And
hit
then
the
it went
double.
crazy. Now it's that
So
slow
like,
burn up to 200.
yeah, we do that slow burn up to 150, like that slow grind up, and then hopefully it'll just pop off. But
And it just went
if it keeps slow
crazy.
burning, I'm okay with that. Like as long as it doesn't go down.
Yep.
Uh,
Right, so we're sitting at 155.88 right now. Got 30 seconds about on this candle, this 1 minute candle, and the 5 minute candle. Yeah, the closes. If we start moving up on this next 1 minute candle, buy some shares for this break back over 156. 15 seconds. And EYS pulling back a tiny bit, so wait for the next setup on that. So 5-minute candle just closed. See if this next candle pushes above 156. Buy a few shares here. Bought them kind of high. Only bought 10 shares. So it just pushed up over 156. I don't know why my chart isn't updating. Chart's updating like really slow. I can see the orders coming in over here. So see if we can push back above 158. So the new 5-minute candle just, made a new high, broke over the previous 5-minute high, which is this like 156.50 here. See if it can hold up. But it's been trading really nice this morning. The 5-minute has been like immaculate. Really no false breakouts or anything on the 5-minute. The 1-minute has been really, compared to other days, has traded really nice today. Going to try to be confident with this stock today. It looks like it's trading really. Definitely less volume in the last 5 or 10 minutes. But hopefully, if it comes up and we push through 160, we'll get some volume back into it. And with these 10 shares that I'm holding, probably hold them back down to the last 5-minute high. So if it starts pushing down below 154, then I'll think about selling them off. Otherwise, I'm just gonna hold them. UIS starting to come up a little bit again. Just pushed above 850, so that was the place to buy for the 5-minute candle. I currently have a position, going to GameStop right now, so I'm probably not going to switch over to trade that while I'm holding here. So let's give GameStop a minute here. See if it pushes back up, makes a new high over 158. UIS pulling back right now, so kind of doesn't really know what it wants to do at the moment. Just pulled back the entire 5-minute candle move that it made. Fortunate. GameStop pushing down to 155. Seems to be holding okay there. 5 minutes still looks good. Like I said before, as long as we're holding above like 154 on the 5-minute, really, I guess 153.50. But ideally, we'd like to hold above 154. We'll see what happens. What's going on, Carl? How goes it? Holding above 154. We got 1 minute left on this 5-minute candle. See if it can reclaim any of the loss that it just made here. If it's going to keep pushing down. Broke down a little bit through 154. We'll see if it can hold above this previous 5-minute candle high. Or 5-minute candle low, rather. Oh, and just dropped through it. Second, see if we bounce back up. Seems like we got bought up pretty quick last time when we dropped through here, so give it a second to try to get bought back up. And dropped even. So I'm gonna sell these shares off. Yeah, UIS is looked pretty nice this morning until like the recent move it just made down. But I mean, it still looks really good. It's still holding pretty well above. Uh, yeah, pretty well above where it started this morning. So looking p good. GameStop, unfortunately, selling off a little bit here, but might get a bounce. Back up to VWAP. Yeah, I mean, it's not bouncing nearly as much as I would think it would be. It just sold off from 155 down to 152 and really only bounced like 50%, like off of the initial bounce. Coming up a little bit more now. But I feel like the last time it dropped, it got bought up a lot faster. Even though it just dropped off a little bit there, I mean, it still is looking really nice. Maybe like to see it come back up closer to 155 before I take another trade on it. Looking at buying off of the 1 minute, I mean, as it's breaking through 153.50 here, that would probably be the time. It just broke up through 153.50, pushing 154. See if we can break through 154. Nudge through 154 there. Chart is updating real slow, so can't see it on the chart. See it on the orders. I'm gonna give it a second to see what it's doing here. UIS pulling back a little bit more, but still looking alright. It's holding right below $8, so if it comes back up above $8, still looking pretty strong and definitely above VWAP right now. 5 minute candle though, still got like 2.5 minutes, so not really going to be a 5 minute setup unless it pushes back up to like 860. So it's quite a ways away on the 5 minute setup. And besides EYES and GameStop right now, nothing else really moving up too much. ANCN made a really nice move earlier today, but then pulled back quite a bit. OPGN was moving earlier, but I think it ended up pulling back. Let me check it here. Yeah, so OPGN moved up pretty good, $2 to $2.70, but it's pulled back down to $2 below 240, right below VWAP. So I'd probably wait for like a 5 minute setup on this and take a trade on it. I think EYES is closer to being able to do that. GameStop came back up through VWAP, so as long as it holds above VWAP right now, the next time we get a nice 5 minute setup, hopefully we'll take a trade on it. Current 5 minute high of this candle is 154.50. Place to be. And this 5 minute candle holding above, this previous resistance here, and then the previous support that it bounced off of, which is like 153.50 or 153.20, 30, somewhere around there. If we close above that, that would be nice. So in 30 seconds. Almost no volume in the last couple candles. The drop was on higher volume, but not as high as some of these green candles back here, so It's not a huge deal. It's a red candle with pretty high volume, but again, it's kind of like, it's just like barely red, so also not a huge deal. So we got the new 5 minute. Yeah, like no volume coming through. Yeah. So we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to wait until the volume comes back into this before we take a trade on it. Pushing back up into 154. Struggling a little bit. I don't know what against. I don't see a ton of sellers sitting on 154. So I have to imagine if we push back up into it again, we'll break through it. So it just broke through 154.25. This 5 minute candle, previous 5 minute candle high is 154.50. So as we come up through that, I want to see if we could break over it. Okay, so we just broke it. So I'm going to try to see if I can get a few shares on the bid here as it pushes back down. But bid seems to be very low at the moment. And it just kind of pulled back from that. That's kind of what I was worried about, because a few times, in recent memory, I bought, going into a 1 minute breakout like this as it came up, and then I would buy on the, buy in the ask, and then all of a sudden I'd buy at 155, and then there'd be a pullback a full dollar, and it's rough. So, yeah, this 5 minute breakout has pulled back, but if we come back up above 154.50, then by the end of the 5 minute candle, if we're holding above that, it's still looking pretty nice. And EYES still kind of just moving sideways right around that $8 mark, so hasn't really made many moves there. Still something to keep an eye on. It went crazy during the day on Friday. We took I think one trade on it, maybe pre-market, and it wasn't really doing too much. It popped up and then just kind of went sideways the entire pre-market, and then during the day this thing just went wild. It started at $2.50, somewhere around there. Hit a high of $9.89. So, and now is holding above $8. Really nice. So it's coming up over $8 here. Get here. So I'm gonna buy some shares of UIES as it's breaking over this $8.10 mark, the previous high. And we're gonna look for this to this. So this is a 5 minute high. We want this to hold above 810. It's been a little bit choppy, so I'm gonna take smaller share size, and then we break above 820, and then we hold above 820. Then I'll buy some more shares. Yeah, bro, banana suit, you gotta be wearing it. This is how you know I'm an excellent trader. Wearing a banana suit and a Donkey Kong hat. GME news. I don't think there's any specific news on it, but it has been trading very well. It traded really nicely. So on Friday, it had been consolidating for pretty much an entire week in a pretty tight range. It broke out of that range on Friday, and it broke, up. So it was consolidating between approximately 120 and 130 for 5 days. With occasionally breaking further down and further up, and then it just it ripped out, went above 140, tapped 150, and now today, we're holding right now above 150, so it's looking good for a move back up to 200. I don't know. Did any news come out or anything that actually affects GameStop? I think so. far as I know, I don't see any news on it. What do I think about what? About GME? I like it. As long as it's going up, I'm gonna buy it. I was hoping EYES here. I tried to take a trade on EYES. I'm holding 15 shares at 815. I was hoping that it would come up and break through 820, and then we'd get a move back up to 860. Kind of just moving sideways right above 810, between 810 and 820 right now. So if we can get this to break up through 820. If it breaks up through 820, I'll buy some more shares for the push up back to high of day. And then if we drop down below 8, I'll sell off the shares I'm currently holding. Really, I think if we drop below about 805 right now, if we come back up above 820, I expect that we'll break out upwards and get above this previous 5-minute candle high, which is $8.24. GME kind of just chilling right now, a little bit of consolidation, holding above VWAP though, so looking nice. UIS did just break out, but sold into going 824, or going into 824. So if we push back, or if we come back down a little bit, I'm going to try to buy a few shares on the bid. Alright, so got a few more shares. 24 shares at 818 cost basis. I think the spike is mostly just like it breaking out of its range. I don't know if it has anything to do with any other news coming out or anything. Like, it looked like it was ready to go one way or the other on Friday. EYES coming up. Just broke over 830. Very, very, or a lot of resistance. Every single candle is trying to push up. I think profit target on this as we come up through 850, like 850, or come up to 850, maybe take off a few shares. But it is looking strong right now. This 5-minute candle's looking really nice. GameStop still holding where it was. Not really too much going on with it at the moment. It came back up and broke over the previous 5-minute candle high of about 155, and might be something worth looking at. But it's been trading on super light volume in the last 20 minutes, so might have to wait for some volume to come in on that before we can make another trade. What were the changes, Tom? Also, I'm sorry I missed your stream. I was watching a movie with Carly, so ended up getting held up. EYES still looking strong. Put in a bunch of green 1-minute green candles in a row, but 4 of them were essentially no movement, so I don't think this is too overextended right now. If we push up through 850, maybe I'll take some shares off. A little bit of indecision here, but nice. That's awesome. Breaking down on the 1-minute, which is not really what you want to see. If we push back up, I'll just put a few shares on the ask. See if we push back up to them. Just got an errand text me or something. But yeah, I was watching that new Disney movie with Carly. It was mediocre at best. Sundial. I feel like when the weed stocks were making their move, I think that's Sundial, right? When the weed stocks were making their move, I mean it was looking sick, but I mean it's trading at essentially like no volume now. So I mean if like when like the legalization fully goes through or whatever, I think weed stocks will probably have another bump, but I don't know when that'll be. you know, we're selling off back into my cost basis right now on EYES, but last 5 minute candle low was 807, so I'm gonna hold down to 807. So we have a few things just popped up. Take a look at them. AYRO coming up here. Oh, AYRO, big old green candle. But, volume is really light, so I'm gonna have to wait on that until more volume comes into it. It's trading with essentially no volume right now. CLBS just popped up, also like no volume. Not anything I'm super interested in until volume starts coming into them. UIS pushing down some more. We'll see if it breaks down through the previous 5 minute candle low. So just dip below it. See if it comes back up and holds above it. Yeah. So I'm going to take out a few shares as we're pushing down towards $8. Just broke through 8, so probably take off the rest of them unless something crazy happens right now. So didn't take a ton of shares on that, so only down $5 on the trade. It's been kind of EYS similarly on Friday, the pre-market. It was just like very sideways. Like it had a nice move at one point and then just kind of went sideways. I was really hoping that like this is it still looks good until it drops below 780. It still could make a move back up, but I don't know. I didn't want to hold through if it made a move all the way down to view up. It doesn't look like any more volume on AYRO. Back to GME. GME a little bit more volume coming in, but definitely like to see more. EYS definitely one we'll still keep an eye on, but it's just now on the 5 minute setup, can't wait to buy above 835, and it failed to break through 860 now. Pushed up to 850 4 times and bounced off of it, and then one time went up to 860 and bounced off of it. So let's say it's not looking super strong. So maybe if it comes through 860 or there's increasing volume, because we've had decreasing volume since about 7:30 on it, then I'll take a trade on it. But yeah, I was hoping that trade we just took, that as it was coming back up towards the high of days, we'd get some volume coming in on it, but it didn't end up happening. Yeah, quite unfortunate. GME still holding above 152, so still looking good there. But again, just moving sideways. Yeah, it was really unfortunate. I was looking at my scanner on Friday, and I was looking at some of the streamers that I watch on YouTube, and my scanners did not pick up one of the stocks that did really well on Friday because I hadn't updated. I guess it's like a recently added stock, and I hadn't added it, or I hadn't refreshed the Nasdaq listed and like other listed tickers that I was looking at. So I wrote some stuff this weekend to update them every day now, so we don't miss stuff like this. But AEI, made a really nice move on Friday. Went from $11 all the way up to $23 in like 3 minutes or something ridiculous. It pulled it all back, almost entirely very quickly afterwards, but it still made a really nice move pre-market. So should be on the list of takers now. Yeah, unfortunately missed it, but yeah, and for anyone new in the chat, if you want to follow along with me, check out my scanners. Go to oliveguardians.com. You can click the menu. There's low float, medium float, high floats. If you want to look specifically at those, anything that's been moved above 25% on the day, anything that's below 10% on the day, and then the movers is anything that's being actively traded. So anything that's moved up more than 8% in the last 5 minutes and has above 50,000 shares of volume. So mostly you'll see low floats pop up on this list, low floats and medium floats that are coming up on news, and people are just jumping into them. So everything that I trade comes from the scanners here, so just follow along if you want on Olive Guardians. And if you have any requests or anything, scanners you think I should put up there, something that you think would help with it, let me know. And EYS did just pull back down to VWAP, so... Oh. What's going on with EYS right now? It just pulled down to VWAP, and then within 10 seconds, jumped back up to above $8. So we're seeing a lot more volume coming into it right now. I don't know if there's a specific reason why. I don't see any news or anything. So ER&Q just popped up. Light volume, not really too much going on. Yeah, GameStop kind of falling through right now, unfortunately. Yeah, it didn't hold above that 152, so we're gonna have to wait to make a trade on that. Unfortunately, I was really hoping that it would push back up through 155. We'll see. Give it some time. As far as EYES, 5-minute candle still has 2 minutes left on it. 5-minute high is 813. Just jumped up from a pretty big pullback, and it jumped up, seemingly on one big order that was done, as it went from 770 to $8 in about 2 seconds there. So I'd still like to see some more volume coming into it. And I'm probably not going to take a 1-minute setup on it, but if we get a nice 5-minute setup on the next 5-minute candle, then I'll take a trade on it. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, lighter volume on the red candles, but lighter volume in general recently here, and it's fighting for every cent. Goes up 5 cents, goes down 4 cents. Up 5 cents, go down 4 cents. Give it a second here, see if it calms down, see if we get some nicer green volume coming in, and then look for a 5-minute setup. Current 5-minute candle high is 815, so doing the next candle starts in a minute. Whether or not we can take a trade. GameStop is still holding above 150. But it's got a ways before it makes it back up to where it was consolidating previously, so still $4 away from that. 15 seconds left on this candle. See what the next one is. Next candle started. Doing too much, not immediately breaking out or anything. Yeah, I was hoping we wouldn't see a ton of resistance between 8 and 850 here. But it's just, yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's trading like it's a really high float stock, but it should be a low float stock. So, I don't know what's going on with it. It's trading like it's like a 100 million float stock, and it should be only a 13 million float stock. It's just taking a very significant amount of volume to move it at all. Some of these candles back here, this candle had over 500,000 shares of volume. It didn't really move it too much, considering the vast majority of the volume was all green. This 5-minute candle on GameStop not looking good, but also, yeah, super light volume. Maybe coming closer to 9, or as we come into the open, we'll get higher volume on GameStop. I'm only gonna stream until 9 today because I have a meeting, so probably be getting off at like 8:50. I probably won't, yeah, or definitely won't take a trade on GameStop until see more volume coming in, see it come up maybe closer to this 155 level that it was pushing up to previously. On the 5-minute, bounced off 155 2 times, and then rejected all the way back down to 151. So I'd like to see it come back up to that level with higher volume before I take a trade on it. We can look at some of the other stuff that we were looking at today. This hasn't really been doing much. ANCN made a really nice move earlier this morning, but it is pulled back so significantly that I doubt it will have any chance to come back to this, at least in the pre-market. So, not going to be watching that. CUE, similar thing. 7 o'clock made a pretty good move, but has pulled back to even below where it started. So not gonna take a trade on that. OPGN, I mean, it looks like it could be tradable still, but again, similar to EYES, trading very slowly. It's fighting for every cent that it makes here. Most of these 1-minute candles are like a 8-cent range. It took 20 minutes nearly for it to go up 30 cents. So had to take much higher share size on this. If you're going to take a trade on it, I would probably be waiting, since it rejected so hard coming up to the pre-market high. I would want to see it push back up to this pre-market high before I was going to take a trade on it, probably. Highest volume 5-minute candle was red, which you don't want to see. So just a lot of red flags on OPGN at the moment. But if it comes back up, comes back up with volume back to the pre-market high, I'll think about taking a trade on it. Ears shouldn't be on the watch list. It came up with very light volume. Not really too much going on with it right now. AYRO, similar story. Came up on really light volume, pulled it back. And CLBS, similar. So remove all those from the watch list. If they do end up making a move up later and the scanner picks them up, then I'll think about taking a trade on it. But they just did not look good. Q, we can that too. Just spectacular. See, I mean, really the ones to watch right now still EYES. It seems like EYES is doing a similar thing to the what it did pre-market on Friday, where we can actually like look at it. So if we look at it Friday, it popped up, made a really nice move at 8 o'clock on news, and then pretty much just traded sideways all the way into the open. And then after the open, it traded really nicely. So I guess similar thing that we see here, we're getting a pop. This time it's at 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock pop up, and then it's essentially traded sideways since then. You know, it popped up past 8, and the high of the pre-market high right now is 860. So it did make 50-cent move up, but it's generally been trading sideways for the rest of the morning so far. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't really see a move on this until the open. Definitely one to watch though, because it traded really nicely on Friday, actually during market hours. So I mean, like, made a pretty solid move here on the 5-minute. So my camera's like kind of in front of it. Let me move them over to this one. Yeah. So we look on the 5-minute, the way that it was trading. Pretty solid move here with essentially no pullback all the way up to $4 from $2.50. Pulled back, not really any false breakouts on the 5 minutes. Immediately reclaimed it, consolidated below the level, and then when it did make the breakout, I mean on the 5-minute, this thing just looks so clean. No tails, almost no wicks. The one time it did pull back, no false breakout. And then when it did break over it again, it made an immediate move up $3. It traded super nicely on Friday. So if this thing does, end up coming up and then starts trading a little bit better coming into market open, I would definitely think it's one to keep an eye on. And of course, GameStop as always, fan favorite. I mean, we'll definitely watch it. Made a pretty nice move this morning. Closed at I think like 138 or something like that. Popped up, kind of just went sideways between 140 and 145, and then made a really nice move at 7 o'clock, all the way up to 158. It's kind of pulled back a little bit since then. Had a couple false breakouts. It tapped against 155 twice here, and then pulled back to below the previous 5-minute candle's low. So, I mean, not great there, but still definitely, I mean, it's got room to run, obviously. If this thing comes up past 158 and it comes up on volume, I mean, the last time we saw that on the daily chart, it ran, so it popped up through 100, and then in like aftermarket ran all the way up to 200, so it's definitely got some room to move here. We'll see if that actually ends up happening. Always got to be ready to take a trade on it. And EYES is coming back up to this 850 area right now. We'll see how it acts coming into there. I mean, what we want to see is... So, I mean, what we're seeing right now throughout the entire morning, as you can see, like the volume, even though there has been high volume on some of these candles, pretty much every candle is split between, buying and selling. So there's just a lot of shares trading hands both ways. And every time we've come into this 850, 860 level, we've seen big spikes of red pushing us down. So that's why I'm not taking a trade on this. I took a trade coming up through 810, I think, on the break of this 5-minute, back here, and it pushed back up, or pushed all the way up to 850, tapped 850 and then pretty much pulled it all back entirely. I was holding for a bigger move through 860, so I ended up taking a loss on this trade, like $5 loss. But I want to wait to see what it does in this 850 area again here. So I'm not going to take a trade on it just yet. Putting few, green 1 minute candles in a row, just tapped 850. Nice volume on this last 1 minute candle, which is good to see. But we'll see how it rejects off 850 here. Just tapped 850 and then pulled back 16 cents. We'll see if it continues to pull back. And these pullbacks are kind of what I'm afraid of on this stock. It's come up into the 850 a few times. Big red candle here, big red candle here, pushed up, just barely, almost tapped 860, 859, pulled it all back, and then another big red candle, pushed all the way up here, pulled it all back, big red candle down, came up into 850, red candles all the way down. So it just seems to be selling off into this area. And yeah, we see the continuation here on this next 1 minute candle, just pushing it down even further. Just got something popped up on the scanner. Lower volume, but we'll see. Yeah, it looks terrible. So when you see these charts, they pop up and it's just like no volume on half the candles, and it just has moved up a tiny bit. It's just, I think it's untradeable, so not gonna watch that. So I'm down a bit on the day today. I think I lost like $30 on GameStop, something like that, $35, yeah, and then $5 on EYES. On GameStop, so I started trading at 7:30 here. Yeah, I think I bought the buying here on GameStop. I think I bought for this 5 minute candle after the dip. After this dip, pushing up over 154. So it tapped off 155 and then pulled back, and then once it pulled below this low of the dip here, I sold. Oh no. I bought on this big red candle. yeah. As it pushed up above 156, I think I bought it like 155 on like this 1 minute setup here. So as it pushed up, held through here, tapped off, 157 again, and then pulled it all back. And then once it broke below this 5 minute candle low, which is like 153.52, then I ended up selling it off. So I took the 5 minute setup. The 5 minute setup obviously rejected very hard, as you can see here. Rejected all the way back down to below VWAP. So I'm just gonna wait for another setup on it. Still really light volume. So like even though you see it like ticking up here, unless we see some volume coming into this, I mean, it doesn't really mean much. Came up about $2, but on 20,000 shares of volume. So we want to see like 1 minute candles with 20,000 shares of volume, or 30,000 shares of volume. Increasing volume coming up into these levels would be really nice to see. Might just keep pushing. Let's check this out here. It's coming back up towards 155. Definite lighter volume. And the 5 minute setup. Yeah, the 5 minute setup would be the buy over 153. I didn't really want to buy it there. I want to see it push back up past 155 if I'm going to buy it. Like at this point with GameStop, I want to be in for it making a bigger move. Because I feel like the last few times I've tried to trade it, I got chopped out pretty significantly. Um, it can spike several dollars in either direction for essentially no reason, and a lot of the times it's just doing like false breakouts on most candles. So it's very difficult to trade it just with like the technicals. I think I know some people who have just been like buying it and then holding it, which I think is probably the strategy. Because yeah, it's been trading so choppy. So obviously, like here in the morning, it popped up from 146 all the way up to 156, and then within 3 minutes pulled all the way back down to 147. So look on the 1 minute chart here, just like if you're buying up into the 155 area and it comes up $1 and then all of a sudden you've pulled back $10, I mean you gotta sell, right? You can't just, I mean, if you're trying to make short-term trades, you can't just hold through that with the expectation that it'll come up when we've seen it reject off of 150 and then pull all the way back to 120. So I think buying in during the consolidation period, the daily back here. So we were like consolidating pretty nicely, putting this one big red candle, and then it consolidated for several candles in a row, and then Friday was that breakout candle, and it ended up holding out. It ended up holding above the Thursday price, which is good. And then gonna try to see some continuation today. Definitely watch for it. This is also kind of what I was saying. It came up several dollars on the 1 minute, but very light volume, and it just immediately got pulled back. So now it's sitting below VWAP again. It's just, yeah, it's hard to take a trade on this until you start seeing, like, there are times on GameStop when the volume just seems like unstoppable. Like everyone is buying, and the price literally can't go down. And I think those are the times that I'm going to wait to try to take a trade on it. Um, you can see, let's see here. Like I think this is Thursday on the 5 minute. On the 5 minute, it went from 122 all the way up to 147 with like essentially no pullback. So those are the kind of moves that I want to get in on a GameStop when it's just like volume is there, and you can see how it was trading the rest of the day. So if you look at like the rest of the volume, almost no volume. Then all of a sudden this comes in. This 5 minute candle put in 1 million shares. The next 5 minute candle put in 2 million shares of volume. So that's the kind of volume that I want to see coming into it. And that's the volume I think we're going to see if it starts going crazy again like it did at the end of January. When it started like pumping, went from 150 to 250 to 350, the volume is going to be apparent. So I was hoping when we got this pop here up through to 158, I was really hoping that was when the volume was going to start, but, we pulled back here. Quite unfortunate. EYES, still trading sideways. GME, also trading sideways. IMVT, we looked at that before. It popped up a few other times on the scanner, but it's just the volume is just so... typed in the wrong name. Yeah, this volume is like untradeable. Sometimes you see these stocks and you're like, oh man, made such a good move, made $3 on it, or whatever, $16 to $20, $4 move. But with this little volume, there's no way that you can predict what this stock is going to do. Until more volume starts coming into this, it starts making a few setups. You could have bought at 16, it could have just dropped back down to 14. It's just, you just don't know which direction it's going to go until you actually see a trend start forming. And, big part of the trend is seeing increasing volume coming into a stock when it's going in one direction. So So always something to look out for. Make sure that you're actually trading with the trend. And you don't just think you are. Just because something is going up temporarily doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to continue going. We just hit 830. No immediate spikes in volume anywhere as far as I can see. Don't see anything popping up on the scanner. So, might just be hanging out for now. The fact that GME is holding above 150, though, is a very good sign. I definitely think that this thing could go, can go wild today. Just gotta wait until get that confirmation that the volume is coming in, it's going up. I don't think there's a ton of resistance between 160 and 200. Just because it pretty much ripped straight through it the last time. So on the daily regular market trading, resistance at 185, and then the candle actually opened from pre-market at 169. Those are definitely places to watch, but I would say that there's not a ton of resistance between 160 and 200. So hopefully if we see it move up through 160, it'll just rip. Get those nice moves like we were seeing in January. I said this before, but I am going to be getting off probably like 8:50 today because I got a meeting at 9. So for anyone that's in the chat and is new to the chat, check out the scanners, oliveguardians.com. Got the menu. You can see we got scanners for low float, medium float, high floats. I usually watch anything that's above 25%, so this is essentially just, anything that's it's probably going to be the most looked at stocks in the pre-market, just because it's the things that have moved up the most. You can click on it, and you can see anything that's moved below 10%, so stocks that have sold off for one reason or another. So if you're looking for something to buy on a dip, you can check those out. And then the movers are anything that's moved up more than 8% in the last 5 minutes and has at least 50,000 shares of volume traded. So these are really going to be the things that are popping up on news, and mostly lower float or medium float stocks. So you can follow along with me. Everything that I trade, I get off the scanners. If you have any suggestions for how it could look better, or different criteria for scanners, or whatever you really want, just drop me a message and maybe I can make it happen. So EYES just popped up again. I feel like we've seen a few places where we've had these very strange spikes of volume that just come out of nowhere. We'll see if it can hold up, but it is looking really nice right now. So get EYES here on the active trading window. Maybe take a trade on this. I think, yeah, so next resistance, really, I mean, psychological resistance at $9, obviously. I think next big resistance point looking like 950. It's pushed up pretty high right now, so I'd like this to maybe make a 1 minute pullback. And then as it breaks through on the 1 minute, then I'll buy going into $9. Got 30 seconds on this candle still. Pushing up a little bit. Yeah, two 1 minute candles in a row with really, really nice volume. weird. I mean, it's just came out of nowhere. Gotta keep your eyes open. So this 1 minute candle's closing right now. See what this next one candle ends up doing. Holding above 80, so or holding above 875, I guess. That's good. It looks like we're holding above 80 pretty well right now. As I say that, we drop through. We'll see if this gets bought up. If this gets bought up, I might take some shares as it's coming through 80. That seems to be pushing lower a bit. Don't love that. Does seem to be holding above 75 okay right now. So let's see if I can buy some shares coming down here. I just bought 15 shares, 875, well 876 cost basis. We'll see if we can get the move back up, just off this dip. If not, I mean 872, 870 gonna be our bailout point. So we're gonna keep the stop pretty tight right now. And then if we push up through 9, buy some more shares coming up through $9. So not too many shares, but off of just a little dip like this. And we'll see if we can get a bounce back up through 9. Saw nice volume coming in. I wanted to get in, at least a few shares in this trade if this thing does end up ripping up through $9. Also just on watch still. GameStop, not really moving too much. Nothing really else on the scanners at the moment. So I think EYES is the trade to make at the moment if we get this break up through $9. So do 1 minute candle. Get this break up. So we'll buy a few more shares. Cost base is now $8.85. We'll see if it holds above $9. So I'm going to take off 10 shares if it pushes up here. So it's still looking really nice. And I don't think there's a ton of resistance between here and 950. But, I mean, this stock just in general has kind of been trading a little iffy. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a few pullbacks. As long as we're holding above 890, probably still alright. Fairly small share size. So yeah. And then we'll look maybe for a pullback and then a break back above the the previous candle high. To try to add some more shares here. So if we do get a pullback, like it to hold above $9. If it holds above $8.90, that's still good though. Alright, we're pushing up. So yeah, it looks like this 940 area marked out some resistance. I think this was the high of yesterday's. Look at yesterday. I don't know, 989 was the high, but there was some resistance coming up to 950 here, so that's why I marked it out. But really nice volume coming in right now, so see if it holds above. So if we start pulling back now, I'll probably take off some more shares, and then I'll add more on as we come back up through 940. But if I come back down, pushing down through 920, closer to 910, I'll take off more shares. Little extended right now on the 1 minute, but really, really, really good volume on the 5 minute and on the 1 minute. So these last two 5 minute candles have traded over 2 million shares. So new 5 minute candle is starting right now. So now if we drop below 920, I'll probably sell off the shares that I'm holding, and then I'll try to get in, back in as we move back up. Try to get a new setup. Just gonna try to lock in the profit that I have already. So new 5 minute. Let's see if we hold above 920. If we don't hold above 920, then I'll sell off these shares. Looks like we're so sold off the shares. I expect us to get a little bit of a pullback here on the 1 minute. If we don't get a pullback, then on the 1 minute I can buy up through 925, or I can wait and buy up through 935 to the break of the pre-market high. And now that we have some good volume coming into this, I might take more shares on the next trade that I make if we start moving up again. We just need to make sure we don't get a pullback like we've seen in some of these other candles. We've seen very, very strong pullbacks, unfortunately. So 1 minute. So this started pushing up before this 1 minute candle even closed. So we'll see if we push up above 935. So see if I can get some shares. Got a 943. Pretty rough. Pretty rough fill there. Only got 10 shares just because it moved up so quickly. But if we push back up through 950, then I expect we'll move to 980, which was the Friday's high. So see how this goes. But it's looking really nice. Just like the tiniest little pullback on this 1 minute, similar to this other 1 minute pullback just below $9, and then as soon as it broke, it made a nice move to $9. We'll see if we get the move here, or if we get another pullback. Let's say a little bit extended, not anything too insane. A little bit extended. So as long as we hold above 920 right now, I think I'm okay holding this. And then if we do come back and break above 950, then I'll add shares. Try to add maybe like 20 more shares, and then hold 30 shares with the expectation that we'll push back up to 980. Pushing down a little bit. Just tap 920. Want it to hold above 920. Oh. Alright, so we'll see if it bounces back. If not, we'll sell off our shares here. Alright, so it bounced back pretty good once it sold under 920. The previous 5 minute candle low is like 870. So I mean, we could potentially get a pullback that far, but I would not be willing to hold on a pullback that pulls down that far. But our 1 minute is already pushing back up, and we're doing it on pretty good volume right now. So now that we've consolidated 5 or 6 1 minute candles pretty close to this area, we're not nearly as extended as we were coming up into it. So I think now a push over. Whoa. I was gonna say a push over 950 seems more realistic, but as I say that, we sold off pretty hard. So sold off 5 shares as we pushed down below 920 this time, since it seemed like that sell-off was pretty significant. If we hold below it, I'll sell off the other 5. Seem to be holding a little bit, so just sell off the rest. I am now break even on this. I was down $5 at one point. So, pretty small swings. But, yeah. So, what are you gonna do? Had a pretty violent pullback there and seemed to be holding below 920. So decided to sell it off. Like I said, on the 5 minute, it has room all the way back down to below $9, and I'm not willing to hold for a pullback that far down. So just cut it. If it comes back up, maybe if we get a 5 minute setup above 950, I'll take another trade on it. But I don't think I'm gonna have time since I need to head out soon, so I can go to my meeting at 9. Stay for like another 5 minutes. But GameStop still just kind of moving sideways, so we can just go over the stuff that we were looking at today. GameStop made a really nice move, obviously up to 158. Really good volume on this first candle, but it immediately got sold off. Now it's just kind of moving sideways, but I think if this comes back up, breaks over 158 and breaks through 160, I think this got room to run, up to 180, maybe back to 200. So I'll definitely be watching it throughout the day. Hopefully it'll move back up. EYES, obviously we're just looking at it. It has been a little choppy until 8:30. Really came in with really nice volume. So we took a bad trade on it earlier this morning, where we went for a breakout and then it pulled back. But we took a good trade on it here. Unfortunately, we missed the good entry point. But when it pulled back below $9, we took the trade over $9. So good trade overall there. And then I think that's really all we were watching this morning. There really wasn't a whole lot else. Like I said, you guys can check the scanners. A few things popped up, but pretty much everything I saw pop up just popped up on super light volume, and then within 5 or 10 minutes pulled back the entire move that it made. So it's just. And that's, you're going to see that. I would say a good percentage of the stocks that we've been seeing, at least in the last 3 weeks, have pretty much pulled back at least 50% of their move within 5 minutes on super light volume both ways, and they're just untradeable. So you got to watch out, especially in these high price stocks. Sometimes you see a high price stock goes up 30% or something, you're like, oh man, this thing should move like $15, like, why don't I buy some? And then all of a sudden it moves $10 against you. So just gotta be really careful. It's very definitely very dangerous trading these low float stocks. They're extremely volatile. You could lose your shirt if you're not careful. Yeah, I think EYES, it's already pushing up to its Friday high, which I think all-time high, if I was correct. Oh no, so it does have some previous. It has higher highs previously, but not in the last 2 years. So I would say for all intents and purposes, we're essentially reaching like the recent all-time highs. So it definitely can make a move. I'll keep an eye on it into the open, but gonna be a little bit careful because most of the time when we see it coming into these levels that it has some resistance at, we see really strong selling off, and then it grinds back up. So just something to be aware of. All right, well, I'm gonna head out. Hope you guys did well if you took any trades this morning. Good luck if you're taking some trades into the open. I'll leave the scanners running all day, so if you guys want to check them out, feel free to do so.